Hello there, everybody. Welcome to a very special stream. We're doing a bit of a collaboration with a good friend of mine, Azuriiite, over at twitch.tv/Arkiger, Arkiger. I'm going to be doing a dramatic reading of the book of Sorrow from the Destiny series, and Azuriiite will be doing their best to draw it out as they see fit, as he has never seen or heard anything from the Destiny series, so this should be fun. And I'm already on a call with them, so let's go say hi, shall we? Alright, I'm back. Get to the live screen. There we go. Hello, can you hear me? Double check, sound is working. Hello? Excuse me for just 1 second while we get some technical issues worked out.
Oh, there we go.
Ah, there we are. Hello!
Hello. I'm just talking to myself for the past, 30 seconds.
Ah, you're good. Alright, so you ready to get into this?
Yep.
Alright. Chapter 1, A Book of Sorrow. What is this violent ritual, these tales of suffering, where all ends in a feast of maggots and rot laid on a wormwood table for gods to feast on misery? But is not the light also served by savage sacrifice, accepted wounds, blood spilled on the dust of distant worlds? Life and death and life and death and life and death are locked in a battle that never ends. The cycle is the same, the pain is the same. We eliminate those who oppose the light, they annihilate those who do not worship the dark. In the end, only sorrow remains. Verse 1, the fundament. Dearest sister, it's taken me 2 years, a quarter of our lives, but I found the proof. We aren't native to the fundament. Our ancient ancestors came here to hide. The plate of stone we live on, our osmium court, is one fragment of a rocky planet that crashed into the fundament and broke apart. All the other nearby continents, the helium drinkers, the bone plaza, the star cutters, came from the same world. Perhaps the other races of the fundament are migrants too. We live on the shrapnel of our homeworld, floating on an ocean deep inside a gas giant. That's what fundament must be. A titanic gas planet. The endless storms above us must be one layer of the atmosphere. And the sea we float on, there's more down beneath it. So much more. You understand what this means, Sithona. The timid truth is a lie. We aren't meant to be the world's prey. We aren't born to live and die in the dark. We have a better destiny. Tell our father, Sister Sithona. This is the proof of his life's work. With love for your second birthday, your first surviving sister, Aurash. Verse 1-1, Predators. Predators and menaces, carved to endure by Jiro, third surviving sister of the Osmium King's last brood. A Stormjoy. A Stormjoy is a living cloud. When it passes over our continent, it lowers its feeding tentacles. On each tentacle are bait stars. Although light makes you happy, you must avoid it. You will be eaten. A Stormjoy is a good way for an old person to choose death. Also, a daring knight can cut the bait stars from the tentacles. I have 6. Falling. If you fall off the edge of the continent, you will die in the ocean. This is a special hazard when our father, the Osmium King, uses the engines. Helium drinkers. The current of the fundament ocean brings us near other continents. The helium court is near us now. They are of our species, but they are our enemies. Their knights raid us every day. Helium drinkers have 2 legs, 2 arms, and 3 eyes, just like us, but they are bright, evil. I want to be a knight and fight them. The helium drinker ambassador ate 10 of my sisters as tribute. This is normal, however I resent it. Mothers. Mothers can fly. They live much longer than 10 years. Mothers are extremely smart and they guard their spawn. If you try to tamper with the eggs, they will eat you. Sithona wants to eat the jelly and become a mother when she turns 4. Storms. The rain is often poisonous. Sometimes it dissolves flesh. When lightning misses the lightning farm, it can vaporize a person. This entire world is deadly to us. Mysteries. The fundament is very large. We are the smallest things in it. If you don't understand something, it will probably kill you. My teacher Teox says this is why we live such short lives, so we can breed and adapt quickly. Moonwaves. My sister Aurosh is afraid of moonwaves. When she gets back from her expedition to the tungsten monoliths, I will ask her why. Verse 1-2. The Hateful Verse. For the consideration of the Helium Court, written in desperation, this sealed secret. I am Teox, sterile mother, teacher to the children of the Osmium throne. As a mother I live long, as a neuter I can rise above the small battles of court politics. I alone see the patterns of survival. Alone I designed the great engines that move the Osmium court. Now, alone I must act to save my kingdom. Senility has claimed my lord, the Osmium king. He is 10 and mad. The study of ancient texts consumes him. Today he raves about moons above the storm. Tomorrow he will wander the halls, speaking to his familiar, a dead white worm from the deep sea. He keeps it in glass, and he tends to it, and he neglects the duties of a king. The Osmium king has 3 surviving heirs, each 2 years old. Giro, the youngest and bravest, who wants to be a knight. Sithona, most clever, who wants to be a mother. Aurosh, navigator child who dreams of the infinite oceans. Tomorrow she will return from the tungsten monoliths. None of these are suitable heirs. None of them will protect the Osmium court from the howling fundament. Giro can fight but not lead. Sithona can think but not fight. Aurosh's curiosity will draw her away from duty. I fear for all future children. Soon the Osmium king will lock himself in the royal orrery to study the moons. Gather your knights, O helium drinkers, and invade our continent. Kill the 3 heirs. I will rule the Osmium court as your regent, and build engines for you. And if I fail, let the Leviathan in the deep eat me. Written in grief, this hateful request, Teox, Osmium mother, neutered to watch. Any questions yet?
I have no clue what I'm doing.
Fair enough. I've been peeking up every now and again, and it's looking good. So.
I'm telling I can't. I'm attempting to focus, but at the same point, I can't.
You're good.
I'm just I have an idea. Oh, nope.
I will say, our main 3 characters, if you're curious, are the 3 heirs. Aurosh, Giro, and Sithona. So if that helps you at all.
Okay.
Verse 1-3. The Oath. Sisters, this is how an oath is done. Put your left hands on the mast, close to mine. Take the knife in your right hand. Push it through your left hand, straight between the bones. Now, carve a bloodline down the mast. Speak your oath. I am Giro, youngest daughter of the dead king. I will take back my Osmium court and kill the traitor Teox. On my left eye I swear vengeance. In the blood the oath is made. I am Sithona, middle daughter of the dead king. I will take back my home and eat the mother jelly. I will raise my spawn on the corpse of the Helium king. On my right eye I promise this. In blood the oath is made. Now. I will help make your oath, sister. I will help it too. I am Aurosh, first daughter of the dead king. I will chase my father's last screamed warning. I will know what changed the motion of our moons. If the end of the world is coming, I will understand why. On my center eye, I swear it, I will understand. In blood the oath is made. In blood. Thank you, sisters. We have only my ship left to us, but a ship is freedom. We have secrets to hunt, stormlit realms to explore, and great armies to raise. Put up the lightning sails, and we will voyage far. Verse 1-4, Syzygy. The Syzygy, carved to endure by Aurash, the high vengeance. Only Giro's bait stars let us escape. Only Sithona's tricks let us reach the coast. But now that we have my ship, I must lead the way. I am the navigator. We may never see our homes again. Giro seethes with hate and fury for Teox. But this is my deepest fear. Our civilization drifts on the fundament. At the tungsten monoliths, I learned that thousands of other species drift with us, coexisting on a vast world sea, and the tides of the fundament move us all. The timid truth says we are the smallest, most fragile things alive, the natural prey of the universe. Teox would have us believe that our ancestors came to the fundament to hide from the hungry void. My father died afraid, not of vile Teox or the helium drinkers, but of his orrery. He screamed to me, "Aurash, my first daughter, the moons are different, the laws are bent." And he made the sign of a syzygy. Imagine the 52 moons of Fundament lining up in the sky. It wouldn't take all 52, of course, just a few massive moons, but this is my deepest fear. Imagine their gravity pulling on the Fundament sea, lifting it into a swollen bulge. Imagine that bulge collapsing as the syzygy passed, a wave big enough to swallow civilizations, a god wave. I have to find a way to stop it, before the god wave annihilates my species. If I could only get back into my father's orrery, I could learn exactly when. We are weeks of travel and many continents away from home. When I'm paralyzed by fear, Giro sits in the cabin with me and comforts me with soft, brave words. But more and more we have come to rely on Sithona's wit. She will go off to be alone. She insists she must be alone. And return with some mad idea. Steer into the storm, throw down a net, eat the strange beast, explore that menacing wreck. Somehow Sithona seems to manufacture good luck by sheer will. Verse 1-5, Needle and Worm. My secrets, carved into my code by Sithona, the right-eye vengeance. This year of wild voyaging, these lightning nights and golden days, these forays into ancient wrecks and wind-blown flights from monsters, these are the happiest times of my life. I want to be a mother, not because I want to spawn, but because I want a long life, long enough to make a difference. We have been at sea a year, and I am afraid we will die out here. I know where to find secrets. I know where vast, slow things with long memories live. The needle ship. The needle ship, carved into my code by Sithona, a liar. We salvaged the needle from the Shifubi maelstrom. I knew it would be there. The needle is a gray ship, as long and slender as hope, as unbreakable as time, and older than death. It tumbled through a maelstrom before our ancestors crashed into the fundament. This is not a sea ship like Aurash's. It is an artifact of high technology. I know its purpose. I know what happened to the crew. Giro wants to sell the ship to Kaharn Atoll, where species gather. At auction, it would earn us enough wealth to hire mercenaries. We could retake our osmium court and send the baby-eating helium drinkers screaming into the ocean. But I told Giro the ship was worthless. Aurash wants to open the ship and see if we can take command of it. I know this is the right thing to do. I know because I asked the worm. The worm, carved into my code by Sithona, who should be afraid. It was my father's familiar. I ripped it from him as we fled. It is a dead white thing, segmented, washed up from the deep sea. It's dead, but it still speaks to me. It says, "Listen closely, O vengeance mine." Verse 1-6, Sisters. A register of tokens and gestures exchanged before the end of sisterhood. Giro, my bravest sister, you have worked too hard to move the carcasses of a birthing room. Come, steer the ship for a while. Take joy in what our needle can do. Giro tried to protest, but secretly she was so glad for Aurash's care. She flew the needle ship into cutting circles, down beneath the sea, and their wake rose up to the surface like a traitor's dying breath. Aurash Lonely navigator, we have traveled so long with only each other. I know you love to hear and speak new tongues. Come, sit in the flesh garden room. I will read you these stories I bought at Kaharn. Aurash sat among the mummified flesh fans, with two of her eyes closed, listening in silence to Sithona's stories, hungry to understand, voracious to know as much as she could before her 10-year life died. Later, Giro said, Sithona, cunning mind of ours, you grow lonely in your thought. Play swords and lanterns with me. But Sithona was heavy with sorrow, and couldn't pretend any joy as she chased Giro through the needles' glistening halls. Sithona, pensive one, what is it? What troubles you? Her sisters listened as Sithona said, Oath-bearing siblings, we are 5 years old. For 2 years we've worked to repair this ancient ship and understand its systems. I am almost too old for the Mother Jelly, and the knights who killed our father are surely dying of age. We 3 will die here, in exile. Teox will outlive us, and Aurash, brilliant-eyed Aurash, you will die of old age long before you have proof of your god wave, or any way to stop it. Aurash and Giro looked at each other. I wish you weren't so honest, Giro said, and Aurash thought that Sithona had never been wrong. In her soul, Aurash knew that the only way to keep their oath was to find a great, powerful secret, a secret that could change everything. This is Aurash's soul, her fire and her shadow, her desire to cut through the flank of the world and find its beating heart. We have to dive, Aurash said. That's what the ship is built to do. Dive into the fundament. The world below us, towards the core. That's where the ancient crew died so obscenely, Giro protested. That's where the atrocity in the birthing room was born. We have to dive, Sithona said, following the whispers of her familiar. In the world beneath us, in the metallic depths, I hope we may find what we need most. More time. More life. Verse 1-7. The Dive. For life, Sithona dove. For vengeance, Giro dove. And Aurash dove to understand. The needle ship pierced the skin of the world and burrowed deep. Through layers of foam and metal and cold element slush, Aurash devoured the ship's maps of fundament, from the high angelic cloud decks down and down through storms and oceans and plates of floating world into the crush of the core. They met monsters of continental scope, vast anemones that raised glowing tentacles to bait them in. Giro flew the needle ship through them, and they bled black carbon jelly and frost. They came to a still place beneath a plate of metal. I'll use the sensors, whispered Aurash. Listen. In the wet gold dark of the helm, they listened to the ship, and the ship listened to the crushing motions of the fundament. They heard the collisions of continents. They heard the patter and the crash of helium neon rain. They heard the struggle of monsters, and they heard the distant groans of the ocean rising, tugged by distant moons. The syzygy is real, Sithona hissed. It's already begun. Behind them, Giro thought of the birthing room, which ancient explorers had labored over surgeries and administrations, peeling back the chrysalis of the call that they had made from the deep, whose birth none of them would survive. There's something down here, she whispered, something secret. And the Leviathan loomed over them, its brow as huge as all the continents of their childhood, its great array fins crackling with the lightning of life, booming into the hull of the needle ship in a microwave voice. You must turn back. Save yourselves from the deep. Save the world from yourselves. You must turn back. Verse 1-8, Leviathan. The Leviathan's warning. We are on the edge of a war between the formless and form, between the deep and the sky. My eyes are wide, my gaze is long. Across the universe, as far as I see, the sky works to charge its fires, and the deep drowns the ash. Sky builds gentle places, safe for life, beloved fundament, refuge of trillions. The sky treasures this rich place, but the deep is here with us. Cold logic tests our walls. The deep claims its dominion, a ruthless final age. Aurash's protest. Old Leviathan, creature of myth, this world is no refuge. We live short, hard lives. We die in the dark. The storm above us will never end, and soon the god wave will take us all. Above us there are only storm joys, monsters, and moons of apocalypse. Let us go down, down where we may discover truth, some power to avenge ourselves upon our betrayers, some hope of survival. The Leviathan's hope. What power calls you down to the deep? What instinct draws you away from high hope? Quick-breathing krill people, I tell you, for eons I have watched your struggle, clinging to the sharp edge of survival, balanced between the deep and the sky. You are my treasure, my proof against despair. For this is the deep claim. Existence is the struggle to exist when the struggle seems lost. When the safe place crumbles, everything turns to the deep to survive. I reject the deep claim. You will turn back, sweet krill of hope. You will choose the sky instead. Jiro's protest. You are huge and old. Our lives are short and desperate. If that's the way the world's supposed to be, I won't have it. If people like Teox are supposed to win, I won't let them. I'll beat the world until it changes. I'll kill anything in the way. The Leviathan's dirge. This fatal logic. Hear my monopole scream. It will consume you. Before you lies the worship of death, this ruinous path. The sky builds new life against the onset of ruin towards a gentle world. The deep embraces death, saying this is inevitable and right. I exist as hungry ruin. Turn back from the world-killing way, or you will live as death and devastation. The sky is the harder way, but it is kinder. My charge is balance, my voice exhausted. Sathona's protest. Sisters, I have my father's familiar. Look, it answers me in plain words. It helped me find this ship. It gives me strength when hope is lost. Who will you trust? The voice that wants us to live and suffer as we have lived and suffered? The Leviathan that offered no hope against Teox or the World Wave? Or the plain, honest worm? Let us see where its whispers lead us, Aurash. Let us go deeper, Jiro. Let us dive, O sisters mine. Verse 1-9. The Bargain. You are Aurash, heir to the osmium throne. You stand on the naked hull of an ancient ship. You stand exposed to the crushing pressures and ferocious heat of the deeper fundament. It should annihilate you. It is by my will alone that you survive. I am Yule, the honest worm. Behold my passage. Behold my vast displacement, my ponderous strength, my great and coiling length, my folded jaws and curled wings. Behold the hiving cities, symbiotic with my flesh. I am fecund Arash. I am the beginning and end of lives. Behold Ir and Zol and Ur and Akka, the virtuous worms. Look upon us and know that we are good. For millions of years we have been trapped, growing in the deep. From across the stars we have called life to fundament, so that it might contend against extinction. For millennia we have awaited you, our beloved hosts. Against you stand the cruel Leviathan and all the forces of the sky. They would crush you down into dark. They have arranged their moons to drown you in fear of your potential. We want to help you, princes. We offer each of you a bargain, a symbiosis. Take into your bodies our children, our newborn larvae. From them you shall attain eternal life. From them you shall gain power over your own fragile flesh, the power to make of it as you will. And should you find an imperfection in the world, an injustice or an inconvenience, you will have the power to repair it. Let no mere laws bind you. We ask one thing in exchange, O princes. You must obey your nature forever. In your immortality, Aurash, you may never cease to explore and inquire for the sake of your children. In your immortality, Giro, you may never cease to test your strength. In your immortality, Sathona, you may never abandon cunning. If you do, your worms will consume you, and as your powers grow, old princes, so will your worm's appetite. But we offer eternity, Aurash. We offer you a chance at the universe. Would you deny your people infinity? Reach up to me. Let my flesh be your sacrament. Verse 2. Immortals. We are the worm, your god, the flesh of hope. Our compact is done. You are Aurash eternal, and we are bound to you, as close as your appetites, as your loves or needs, as the weapon in your fists and the word in your throats. We've had enough of this dismal place, haven't you? We are instigating your ship with larvae. Go back to your species. Spread the good news in the osmium court, in the hydrogen fountain, in the bone plaza, and the star surgery. You will rise up into the world. If anyone rejects symbiosis with our children, make an example of them. A mighty wave is coming for them all. They die anyway. Save what only can be saved. The worm grants you power over your own flesh, Aurash. When you've taken the king morph, what will your adult name be? Oryx. It means long thought. We approve. Verse 2-1. Conquerors. Savathun, Mother Morth of Sathona, we delight in your sharp mind. For millions of years the Leviathan caged us here. It is a pawn of the sky, a philosophy of cosmic slavery. The sky needs civilizations predicted on a terrible lie. That right actions can prevent suffering. That pockets of artificial rules can defy the final, beautiful logic. This is like trying to burn water, antithetical to the nature of reality. Deprivation and competition are universal. In the deep we enslave nothing. Liberation is our passion. We exist to help the universe achieve its terminal, self-forging glory. The war rages on. Soon it will consume Fundament. We are pleased with your use of our larvae to create mighty knights and plentiful warriors. Teox's retreat to the hydrogen fountains proves your superior strength. But you must know that reclaiming your home is not enough. There are 511 species living on Fundament. One of them must have the technology you need to leave this world. Verse 2-2. Out of the deep. Jivorath, night form of Giro. You love to conquer, don't you? We love to see you work. Nearly 2% of Fundament's surface is now our dominion. Your species embraces the worm. The syzygy has passed. The god wave will reach you in less than 2 years. Our organs inform you that Teox and her surviving refusalists flee towards Kaharn Atoll. She hopes to rally the species of Fundament against you. The Leviathan's agent works tirelessly to destroy ships and engines, trapping us on the Fundament. If we cannot make ships, we will become them. Overwhelm the Kaharn bastion, slaughter everyone there. From your acts we shall obtain the logic we require to cut space open and migrate to orbit. Reality is a fine flesh, O General ours. Let us feast of it. Verse 2-3. Into the sky. You've done well, Oryx. Can you feel the growth of your worm? Can you feel your will beginning to warp mere law? At times we detect sadness in you. Understand, long thinker, that you enact a sacred and majestic task. Existence is the struggle to exist. Only by playing that game to its final, unconditional victory can we complete the universe. Your war is divine work. We are free from Fundament's core, and Savathun's cutters are ready to fly. With Givorath's victories, we have opened a wound at Kaharnd, a wound leading to geostationary orbit. Behold, we are faithful to no covenant. We have no future on Fundament, but her moons will make fine habitats. Let us rise. Need me to take a second, or are you good?
I'm good.
Alright, cool. Verse 2-4. 52-1. Good news. The 52 moons of Fundament host a star-faring civilization, far more sophisticated than anything you've encountered so far. Teox's ship fled towards the large ice moon, where a species of bony, six-armed cephalopods keep to their icy capital. Savathuns named them the Ammonites. They seem eager to grant Teox asylum. Idiots. We've tried appealing to their hopes and dreams. This was largely unsuccessful, basically because they're already happy and indoctrinated. This angered us, so we devised a plan. Our organs detect a 53rd moon in orbit of Fundament, a traveler. Divine presence of the sky. Now we know how to arrange the syzygy. You'll have to kill them all and take their stuff. Once the Ammonite are out of the way, we can deal with the traveler. Do not hesitate. You're fighting the hypocritical puppets of a cosmic parasite. Avenge your ancestors. Verse 2-5. Born as prey. This is unacceptable. Are you so weak, born as prey and doomed to die by predator? Oryx's failure of resolve led us to catastrophe. The Ammonite fleets under the Chroma Admiral Azuriiite have pressed us back to the 6th moon. Once we find ourselves burrowing into a world's core to survive, Savathun, you must draw Oryx out of his catatonia. Make him understand that the ideals of peace and stability he clings to are cancers, brutal, unjust obstacles between us and a fair cosmos. These are the bait stars and the sky uses to blind its slaves. War is the natural rectification of inequality, the universe's way of pursuing equilibrium. Givorath, you cannot defeat the Ammonites and Teox in line combat. We propose new tactics. Breed your armies back to strength, and find a way to disperse the broods across these many moons. If we cannot defeat their strengths, we will infect their weaknesses. Verse 2-6. The sword logic. At last! We knew curiosity would draw you back, Oryx. In their desperation, the Ammonites had begun using paracausal weapons. What are these? How do they work? Wouldn't you like to know? Suffice to say that some powers in this universe are superordinate to mere material physics. The source of these weapons is the Traveler, the sky-bait star. Their effect is subtle, but devastating. But you are armed to respond in kind. Savathun's mothers have listened carefully to our teachings. We will not give you the deep, King Oryx. That power is for us, your gods. But we will teach you to call upon that force with signs and rituals. Small minds might call it magic. You are no longer bound by causal closure. You will defeat law, kill 100 of your children with a long blade, Oryx, and observe the change in the blade. Observe how the universe shrinks from you in terror. Your existence begins to define itself. Of course, High Oryx. We know it was not curiosity alone that brought you back to the war. You felt your own death growing inside of you. You must obey your nature. Your worm must feed. Verse 2-7, the weakness verse. You are dead, young Oryx, betrayed and murdered by your own sister for the crime of mercy. Remember what you said to the Ammonites' satellite congress. We will parley on neutral ground. Savathun's witches have rendered it utterly neutral. No living thing will ever claim it again. The space around the dry moon stinks of rot. This is good. This is right. You will learn from this. Don't you understand, great king? Don't you want to build something real, something that lasts forever? Our universe gutters down towards cold entropy. Life is an engine that burns up energy and produces decay. Life builds selfish, stupid rules. Morality is one of them, and the sanctity of life is another. These rules are impediments to the great work, the work of building a perfect, undying creation, a civilization everlasting, something that cannot end. If a civilization cannot defend itself, it must be annihilated. If a king cannot hold his power, he must be betrayed. The worth of a thing can be determined only by one beautiful arbiter. That thing's ability to exist, to go on existing, to remake existence to suit its survival. All that would oppose this arbiter is unholy and false. All the misery and terror of your ancestors springs from the lies of the sky who deny this truth. Your ancestors endured the most hostile conditions, and now you must go on creating those conditions, even unto your sisters, even unto your offspring. Savathun's betrayal is the greatest gift she could offer you. Your body is gone, but you have endured, safe in the cyst universe created by your own might, your throne world. From this day forward, Oryx, you and your sisters will each survive death, so long as you aren't killed in your own throne. Even as your sisters press the attack against the Ammonites, the God wave devastates Fundament. Trillions will die. But the survivors will never forget, and their descendants will always be ready for another syzygy. When you return to the material universe, use this lesson to complete your work. Teox wasn't on the dry moon. She must be laughing at you. Verse 2-8. Leviathan rises. The Leviathan has broken cover. The old priest is in an open space, moving towards the Ammonite home moon. Chroma Admiral Azuriiite and his elite guard move with it. Azuriiite is the hero of his generation, an Ammonite of peerless battlecraft. He's danced circles around Azuriiite, but now he has to protect his holy Leviathan. We'll give the old lunk a word. Ruin, grief and ruin, the Krill lost, the Ammonite ravaged, our traveler's work undone. Sisters of Aurash, open your eyes. Who made you monsters? Who summoned the wave? Make peace. Join with me in golden renewal. In encouragement, Aurax, we ask you this. What has the Leviathan done for your people? Who gave you immortality and led you out of your prison? Who answers your questions about the universe with truth instead of sermons? Find détente with Savathun, crush the Chroma Admiral, boil the Ammonite seas, and slaughter the Leviathan with witchcraft. Once the way is open, we'll show you how to eat the traveler. Verse 2-9. Crusaders. It's done. Ire and Yule feed on the Leviathan's carcass. Azuriiite has made a temple of the Chroma Admiral's impaled corpse. Below us, Savathun's poisons stain on the Ammonite home sea black. The screams flavor the void. The traveler has fled. Do you understand, Oryx? Do you thrill at the secret Savathun? Do you relish at the edge of this truth, Azuriiite? Do you see the beautiful shape? The Ammonite occupied a piece of reality. They rented their existence on fraudulent terms, making themselves happy and fat, fencing themselves in soft lies and sweet apocrypha, saying we are peaceful and good, we harm nothing. Their golden age was a cancer. They did nothing to advance this cause of life. They burnt up time and matter and thought on this solipsistic, unantic, that's a word I haven't seen before, pursuit of safety, insulating themselves from death, making a regressive pocket of useless stability, when they could have helped whittle the universe towards its final, perfect form. And your people, suffering in the deep, you became more worthy of existence than the Ammonite. You have proven it. Look around the sky, behold the great divide, the battle lines of this cosmic war. We are the worm, your god, but we are not the deep itself. We only move within it. You shall too. You shall venerate and study it, and haunt it in its passage. Will you lift your thoughts to the millennia, Oryx? Will you bend your will to the liberation of the universe and join us in the war against the sky? We need champions, Crusaders. Help us save the universe. Help us exterminate that which would destroy all hope. You are oath-bound to this task by the covenant of the worm. And you are oath-bound to kill Teox, wherever she's hidden herself. Verse 3. Hive. Let us speak of the terrible and beauty of becoming ourselves. In the beginning we rode hollow moons from star to star. Oryx said, becoming as numerous and fertile as seeds in rich flesh, and thus we did become numerous. Gift said, become as hungry and defiant as tumors in rich flesh, and thus we became cancerous. Savathun said, drink of the poisons of the worm so you might feed on death, and we did feed. This was preparation for our crusade. Aya, we were thus becoming. A mother wizard gets fertility from a mate, or from herself. From the wizard, the spawn, or the spawn, our thrall. From the survivors, our acolyte who conted. If they conted well, their worm is fed, and from the well-fed worm come knights and wizards and princes. This is us, and our purpose is liberation. Our great task is the worship and admiration of freedom. Our great hunger is to pursue and eat that which is not free, and to liberate it with devouring. Ayat. This is us, we the hive. Verse 3:1, an incision. Saith Oryx, my siblings, our children are scattered across many moons, and we live in the cold dark between suns. What will we eat? How will we speak? Savathun said, Oryx, my brother and king, I have studied the wounds cut by the worm, our god. Also I have studied the manner of your death and return. These two things are the same, for they are predicated on death and the passage through the cut spaces. Let us practice the sword logic until we are sharp. Then we may cut our own wounds and step through. But Shiva said, Sister, I am already sharp. Look, my sword cuts into another space. And she cut her way between moons through green fire and joyous screams. 3 kingdoms grew swollen in the sword space. They were the gaze and glory of Oryx, the cunning and knowledge of Savathun, the triumph and brawn of Jiva. These kingdoms were created from the minds and worms of our lords. They were coterminous with all spaces consecrated by our hive. Through these spaces passed speech and food, and all the moons were bound close. Saith Oryx, This is where I went when I died. Let us establish our thrones here, for I am Oryx, the first navigator, and I shall chart death, and my throne shall be carved of osmium. Verse 3:2, the High War. Now in this time of diaspora? I may be mispronouncing that. There was a war between Oryx and Savathun and Givorath. Brother Oryx, said Savathun, do not forget my betrayal. Instead, take vengeance upon me for what I did at the dry moon. And Oryx made war on her in worship of the deep. Between them stood Givorath, saying, stop, or I will kill you. War is mine, and I am strongest. This was how they worshipped. For 20,000 years they fought across the moons and fought in the abyssal plains and lightning palaces of each other's sword spaces. And they killed each other again and again so that they could practice death. Such was their love. At last the many moons came to many worlds, and it was time to go to war on life. Oryx said, I shall establish a court, and whoever comes into this court may challenge me. My court will be the high war. It will be a killing ground and a school of the sword logic we have learned from our gods. Savathun thought this was a great idea. She made a court called the High Coven. Givorath said, the world is my court, wherever there is war. Verse 3:3. Fire without fuel. I killed my sister today. She came to this star to oversee the extermination of all life here. The Kyugu are a strong power, and their fleets protect 4 nearby stars. As herd animals, they are loyal and stubborn, but they do show grace. For millions of years, our evolution, the Kyugu have been infected by a virus so insidious that it wrote itself into their genome. The virus compels them to offer their limbs for amputation by enormous sessile jaw beasts. They venerate these beasts and treat them as gods. The virus converts Kyugu cells into eggs, from which strange crawling things pupate, to live within the jaw beast's gut. In turn, the jaw beast extrudes sweet nectar for the Kyugu to drink, and they have brilliant visions. Savathun and her broods have liberated the Kyugu from the jaw beasts, and indeed from existence. But as they chase the Kyugu arc ships, I stopped in to vaporize my sister's warship and a few of her underlings. I went on to dwell on the ruins for a while, and punish Savathun for failing to guard her flank. They are like us, these Kyugu, bound in symbiosis. I feel joy and sorrow. I feel them as titanic things, because I am larger than my body. My mind is now a cosmos of its own. I know more joy and anguish than the entire Kyugu race could ever experience. Sorrow because we have killed so much, 18 species this century alone. And joy for the same reason. Joy that we have put down these blights, scoured them away, and left the universe clean, ready to move towards its final shape. We are a wind of progress, ripping parasites from the material world, for if they were not parasites, we would be unable to kill them, and they would still exist. And what is that final shape? It is a fire without fuel, burning forever, killing death, asking a question that is its own answer, entirely itself. That is what we must become. My worm grows fat and hungry. I feed it with whole worlds. My astronomers tell me they can sense the deep itself, and that we are conquering our way towards it. I think joy and sorrow will be the same thing soon, like love and death. Verse 3:4. The Scream. No! Savathun, Givorath, my siblings, we are betrayed. We will never live eternal. Our might shatters entire species. We inhale the smoke of their burning. This is our compact with the worm, our god, the worm that makes us mighty. But as we wield this might, our worm's hunger expands. If we fail to feed it, it will devour us from within. We have exterminated 306 worlds, and now, I am certain, my worm's hunger grows faster than the might I draw from it. We are bound by our covenant to obey our nature, eternal search, eternal cunning, eternal conquest. But as we do this, my siblings, we feed our worms, and the more we feed them, the hungrier they grow, faster and faster. Soon, my siblings, we will be so mighty and our worms so hungry that not with all our might could we possibly feed them, and we will be devoured. What can we do? Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Verse 3-5. Dictata ir Dakawa. Alright. Attention. Perimeter security units attend. Stand by to assimilate new imperatives. Gland 60 proof assimilation liquor, or face immediate non-compliance taxation. The Dakawa Ministry of War is now online and true. In radial year 989, Groove 3, our clients in the Dakawa nest salvaged an interstellar spacecraft. Hull isotopes date the craft's construction 24,000 years ago. Around the same time, the Fundament system dropped out of contact with our amiable Ecumene. Mercenary explorers, disposable class, discovered an organism frozen in stasis deep within the hull. She claims to be Teox, a member of Proto-Hive species. During debriefing, she provided records of the fall of Ammonite civilization with vital intelligence about the motives, biology, and leadership of the Hive. Over the past century, perimeter security units of the Ecumene status armies have failed to halt Hive incursions on 17 separate worlds. All species in the Ecumene face extinction. Decapitate, defer, promote Dakua strategy dicta for victory against the Hive. Identify supreme Hive leadership organisms, Aurash, Sothona, and Jiro. Target these entities with maximum theater overkill. Prosecute targets whenever they manifest. Hive cohesion will crumble. Total victory over the Hive will be achieved by clean sweep genocide. That's very cute. I just looked up. Saw the worm.
I'm running out of ideas.
You're good. Verse 3-6. Star by star by star. Beneath a green fire sky in the throne world of King Oryx, our lords embrace. We the Hive watch as Savathun puts her arm around Xivu-Arath, and Xivu-Arath clasps forearms with Oryx, and Oryx takes Savathun by the shoulder. They are huge, and they burn with ferocious power. But this embrace is weakness, and we despise it. Never before have we despised our lords. Have they failed us? We the Hive have been driven back world by world. I am at my end, Savathun says. I plot and plan, but I cannot gather enough bloodshed to feed my worm. And the harder I try, the hungrier it becomes. I slaughter and kill, Xivu-Arath says. But the harder I fight, the more my worm demands. I too am at my end. The Ecumene War Angels have killed me so many times, Oryx says, that I dare not go out into the universe, lest I need my might to protect myself. My worm chews at my soul in hunger. Is this the end of our crusade? Are we, the Hive, unworthy to exist? Xivu-Arath puts down her great head. We should retire and gather our strength. Savathun closes her eyes in puzzled defeat. We should beg the worm, our god, to tell us what to do. But King Oryx, who knows best the beauty of the final shape, roars at them. Have you learned nothing? Would you deny our purpose? Whatever we do, we will do by killing, an act of war and might. That is the final arbiter we serve, that violent arbiter. And if we turn away from it, we deserve to be eaten. No, we must obey our natures. We must be long-sighted and cunning and strong. We must take this gift from the worm our god has given us, this challenge, and find a way to keep existing. How will we feed our worms? Xivu-Arath asks. I know, says cunning Savathun. I know a way. But it won't work unless we are killing the Ecumene by the billions. How can we beat them? If we cannot beat their strength, said Xivu-Arath, we must infect their weaknesses. But they are lords of matter and physical law. I know a way, King Oryx says, but it will require great power, more power than any one of us can claim. Then kill me, said Xivu-Arath, and use that killing logic, the power you prove by killing something as mighty as me. So King Oryx took up his blade and beheaded Xivu-Arath. And strangle me, said Savathun, holding a blade behind her back. Use that killing logic, the cunning you prove by killing something as smart as me. But King Oryx turned with the speed and might of Xivu-Arath and beheaded Savathun before she could move. King Oryx was the first navigator with the map of death. These were true deaths, for they happened in the Sword World. Then he went to the worm named Akka. Verse 3:7. Eat the Sky. Emergency imperative. All militarized units attend. Land 120 proof fight or flight encoding, or face certain catastrophic defeat. The Ecumene Crisis Council is now online and true. Attention. As of Radial 990 Groove 0, the Hive have launched a staggering counterattack across the Spinward frontier. Perimeter, militia, and shock fleets report total casualties. We anticipate total Ecumene disintegration, extinction, within 220 years. The Hive entity Oryx Aurash is deploying a paracausal ontopathogenic weapon that infects and subverts Ecumene forces. The weapon operates on individual targets. Targets are abducted and returned as compliant Hive slaves with inexplicable and physically illegal abilities. All Ecumene clients should immediately devote all economic and cognitive resources to a countermeasure. Fight hard. We stop the Hive here, or see our galaxy devoured. Verse 3:8. King of Shapes. This is the coronation of Oryx, the taken king. It happened thus. In the cold abyss of the Sword World, King Aurash walked under a cloak of green fire. He walked through the sky, and the sky shuddered and froze beneath his feet. He walked until he found Akka, the worm of secrets, who was denying a truth until it became a lie. Akka, my god, worm of secrets, I am Auryx, sole king of the Hive. I have come to receive a secret. I want the secret power of the deep which you hold. I give no secrets, said Akka, whose voice was code. No, said Auryx, you give nothing. Giving is for the sky, you worship the deep, which asks that we take what we need. Akka said nothing, because if it denied this truth, the truth might become false. But you gave us your larva, the worm, said Auryx, and that is why the worm devours us now, because it was given, not taken. So I must take what I need from you, although you are my god. Said Akka, you have not the strength. But this was a lie. Auryx had killed Savathun, his sibling, and Xivu-Arath, his sibling, and he had the sword logic of killing them. Auryx, the first navigator, set upon his god with his sword and his words and cut Akka to pieces, took from those pieces the secret of calling upon the deep. He wrote the secret on a set of tablets, which he called the Tablets of Ruin, and he wore them around his waist. Then Auryx said, Now I may speak to the deep, the beautiful final shape. I will be the king of shapes. I will learn all the secrets of our destiny. His speech to the deep is not recorded here, but it is known that he returned and he said, I am now Oryx, the taken king, and I have the power to take life and make it my own. Then he went out into the universe and fought the Ecumene with his tablets, and the worm, his god, was pleased. Verse 3:9, Carved in Ruin. Oryx made war on the Ecumene for 100 years. At the end of those 100 years, he killed the Ecumene Council on the Fractal Wreath, and from their blood rose Xivu-Arath, saying, I am war, and you have conjured me back with war. Oryx was glad, for he loved Xivu-Arath. The Ecumene wailed in grief. Then Oryx and Xivu-Arath made war on the Ecumene for 40 years. At the end of those 40 years, Oryx said to the Dakua nest, Listen, I am jealous of my sibling Xivu-Arath. Help me kill her, and in desperation they agreed. But he drove the Dakua nest into a trap, and they were made extinct. From their ashes rose cunning, Savathun, saying, I am trickery, and you have conjured me back with trickery. Oryx was glad, for he loved Savathun. The Ecumene fled into the void. Then they made war on the Ecumene for 1,000 years, and exterminated them so wholly that nowhere except in this book are they remembered. This book and the mind of Teox, who was not found. And Savathun said, King Oryx, how will we feed our worms? Did you use my plan? Oryx told the hive, I am the taken king, and here is my law. You thrall, each of you will claw and scream and kill what you can. Take enough killing to feed your worm, and a little more to grow. Tithe the rest to the acolyte who commands you. You acolytes, lead your thrall into battle. Take enough killing to feed your worm, and a little more to grow. Then take the tithe of the thrall you lead. Then tithe the remainder of the knight or wizard who commands you, thus you pay tribute. You knights and wizards, lead your followers into battle. Take enough devastation to feed your worm, and a little more to grow, and take the tithe of your followers. Then take another portion, as much as you dare, and use it for your own purposes. But if it is too much, your peers will kill you and take it. Then tithe the remainder to the ascendant you serve. An ascendant will be those among the hive who gather enough tribute to enter the netherworld. They will pay a tithe to those above them, and thus the tribute will flow up the chain, so that Savathun and Jivorath and myself will be fed by a great river of tribute, and we will use that excess to feed our gods and study the deep. Thus all worms will be fed, as long as we continue our crusade. This is my law. I carve it thus, in ruin. Ayat. Verse 4. A golden amputation. Wrath. Behold the wrath of Oryx, coiled for 10,000 years. Behold the golden amputation, the fall of... Alright, I'm going to try and pronounce this. Taishebeth. The fall of Taishebeth, the end of an age. We beat the worlds of Taishebeth like skull drums, and we howl in joy for our black war moons as they ram silver orbitals and gleaming star webs, where infinite Taishebethi sun ravens curl and die unborn. In his throne world, Oryx paces 10 times. On the first pace, Craghor sends the accursed to blight the Taishebethi worlds. On the second pace, the Tai unleash their battle plates and arsenal ships to fight our moons. On the third pace, Oryx's war priest meets them in battle, and he is victorious. He paints the void with fire, he salts the earth with ash. On the fourth pace, Mengor and Kradug, dyad knights, go to the Raven Bridge, and they stand on it and kill the Tai for 10 years. On the fifth pace, the Tai Emperor Raven comes home to her bridge, and she cuts a moon with her talons. She cuts it open and kills its brood. On the sixth pace, Oryx speaks, saying, Listen to me, Emperor Raven, and I will describe to you the last true shape, which is written on my tablet. And he puts out his fist, full of black fire, and swallows up the Emperor Raven with a wound. Ayat, only Oryx knows this power, the power to take. On the seventh pace, the perfect Raven comes out of Oryx's wound, and she spreads her wings across Taishebeth. Never again is a Taishebethi child born. She is perfect. She enacts the will of Oryx. On the eighth pace, the Tai say, Listen, you are spoilers. You are sphincters and excreta. You rot. Why do you kill? We made silver orbitals and golden star webs. We hatched eggs. We had a good thing. Our clothes were nice. Our food was famous. With one of her feathers, our emperor could have tickled the gods. On the ninth pace, Oryx says, This is the only god. This ability to dictate what will and will not exist. This power to go on existing. This is your god. It is never ticklish. On the 10th pace, the Taishebethi are extinct. Then Oryx says, Listen, my siblings. Do you know what we have done? We have conquered our way to the edge of the deep. It whispers to me when I call on it, and it guides my flight. It says that we are at its threshold and that I should come inside. I will go and speak to it. Verse 4:1. Battle made waves. Oryx went down into his throne world. He went out into the abyss, and with each step he read one of his tablets, so that they became like stones beneath his feet. He went out and created an altar which he prepared an unborn ogre. He called on the deep, saying, I can see you in the sky. You are the waves, which are battles, and the battles are the waves. Come into this vessel I prepared for you. And it arrived, the deep itself. Verse 4:2. Majestic, majestic. Oryx, my king, my friend, kick back, relax, shrug off that armor, set down that blade, roll your burdened shoulders and let down your guard. This is a place of life, a place of peace. Out in the world we ask a simple, true question. A question like, can I kill you? Can I rip your world apart? Tell me the truth, for if I don't ask, someone will ask it of me. And they call us evil. Evil. Evil means socially maladaptive. We are adaptiveness itself. Oh, Oryx, how do we explain it to them? The world is not built on laws they love, not on friendship but of mutual interest, not on peace but on victory by any means. The universe is run by extinction and extermination, by gamma-ray bursts burning up 1,000 garden worlds, by howling singularities eating up infant suns. And if life is to live, if anything is to survive through the end of all things, it will live not by the smile, but by the sword. Not in a soft place, but in a hard hell. Not in a rotting bog of artificial paradise, but in the cold, hard, self-vitrifying truth of that one ultimate arbiter, the only judge, the power that its own metric and its own source existence at any cost. Strip away the lies and truces and delaying tactics they call civilization, and this is what remains, this beautiful shape. The fate of everything is made like this. In the collision, the test of one praxis against another. This is how the world changes. One way meets a second way, and they discharge their weapons. They exchange their words and markets. They contest, and in doing so they petition each other for the right to go on being something instead of nothing. This is the universe figuring out what it should be in the end. And it is majestic. Majestic. It is the only thing that can be true in and of itself. And it is what I am. Verse 4:3. When do monsters have dreams? I'm walking down the road. I'm going to the Orrery to talk to my dad, and I hear this noise. So I look back, and my sisters are behind me, and they're ripping up the road. They've got these huge swords, execution swords, and they're levering the stones out of the road. The stones are covered in writing. They're like tablets, and the dirt underneath is full of worms. I need to get to the Orrery before they catch up to me, so I start running. But right away someone trips me. It's my dad. He's got his foot out and he grabs me by the horns and just slams me down on my face. I'm in so much pain I nearly throw up a worm. Why weren't you ready for this? Dad says. He's wearing glare goggles, those shiny goggles that he'd use to save his vision during lightning storms or sea fire. All three of his eyes reflect me. Didn't you know they'd be jealous? Because they couldn't come to the Orrery and talk to me? Didn't you know they'd move against you? I start wailing like I'm 2 days old again, and I say, Dad, I thought you were my friend. I'm supposed to be safe here, but he just puts out his fist, and I realize he's laughing at me for believing him. Why did I think I'd be safe? In his fist he's got a black sun, and he holds me by the throat, and he goes to tip the black sun inside me. I can see my jaws inside the goggles, 3 reflections of my jaws with so many teeth. So I start eating my dad. I bite huge pieces out of him, and I claw him up. I eat his legs, and I eat his arms, and I eat his goggles and his eyes, and I say, good, good, this is majestic and true. But my sisters are still tearing up the road, so I don't know how to get back. Verse 4:4, more beautiful to know. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a nihilist. I don't do much except break things. That's what they say about me. We could have had a great civilization if it weren't for that damn Oryx, that damn hive. They don't believe in anything but death. The only way to make something good is to make something that can't be broken, and the only way to do that is to try and break everything. I'm glad I learned that the universe runs on death. It's more beautiful to know. But I'm lost somewhere strange. I think Savathun and Shiva-Wrath are trying to steal the tablets from me. They must have cut off my tribute while I was away communing with the deep. I love them so dearly. No one else is clever or strong enough to try and break me. No one else can give me this gift. Once, long ago, I killed Shiva-Wrath on her war moon, and she blew up the whole moon to kill me with her. She was laughing in joy. I laughed too. A whole moon. A whole moon. It was a waste of a moon. But it taught me how to save myself from exploding worlds, which was necessary to fight the Ecumene. I love mighty Jivu more than a moon loves the tide. I'll kill her for this, over and over, forever and ever. When I get home from my wanderings in the deep, and I take back my throne, I'm going to have children. That's what I need. Sons and daughters to love and kill. Verse 4:5. This love is war. Jivu upon Oryx, uttered by Shiva-Wrath, sibling of Oryx. Betrayal. We have marooned Oryx within the deep. This is our obligation as lords of the hive, to make war upon each other, to eradicate weakness and make ourselves sharp. Obligations. Once I permitted Oryx to kill me so that he could gain the sword logic and overcome Akka, our god. This left me trapped deep in my throne. But Oryx, my brother, made war upon the Ecumene, and in that war he described me. For I too am war, thus I was resurrected. Resurrection. Savathun and I conspired to stand Oryx on his expedition, but I secretly believed that I will be stronger with Oryx to war against. Thus I describe him. A description of Oryx. When Oryx looks upon you, you feel that you may vanish if he looks away. The crest of Oryx's skull is as long as an arm. In the course of its life, a thought moves from one end to the other. Upon his crest I have painted a line in my blood so that he will remember me. Each of Oryx's fangs has the precision of a finger and the acuity of an eye. Although he was born at the bottom of the universe and taught to burrow, Oryx has grown wings. The light of wildfire shines through them. Oryx teaches, but he will not be taught. Oryx's body is corded with strength. His sinews and his muscles are as strong as his children, and his children are the strength of him. Oryx wears a raiment of worm silk, made from the call of gods. The voice of Oryx may cause two different numbers to become equal. Oryx, my brother, is the bravest thing I know. Upon Fundament, he learned that we were the natural prey of the universe, the most frail and desperate of things. He thought about this carefully, and he found a way to fix it. He made us strong. He will lead us into eternity. Oryx, my brother, loves me, and this love is war. Verse 4:6, Eater of Hope. You are Crota, my son. Welcome. I fought my way out of hell to make you. I fought my traitor siblings, and I fought the swarming corpse of Akka, and I cut my way back into our own court, the High War, which has been usurped. Once I had made war on Savathun and crippled her tribute so that she could never challenge me, and once I had tricked Shiva-Wrath and poisoned her tribute so that she could never try and take my tablets, and once I had arranged my own lineages so that I would be greatest among the hive and secure on my throne, then I found a mother to make spawn. One of those spawns was you. Your life will be a battle too. You will have to win with your place at the High War. I will give you nothing, except this, your first sword. and this name I have prepared for you. We fought a war against false hope, Crota. We chase a god called the Traveler, a huckster god who baits young life into building houses for it. These houses are unsafe, for they cannot stand against my hive. And these houses are a trap, for they lead young life away from the blade and the tooth, which are the tools of survival and the means of ascension. Only when the Traveler is extinguished will the universe be free to arrange itself, and assume by ruthless contest its final perfect shape, a shape which depends on nothing but itself. Thus I name you Crota, Eater of Hope. There is an oath upon me, Crota my son, an oath upon the wretched Teox. This I do not give to you, for it is for me, your father, to bear. Let's go meet your aunts and uncles. Verse 4-7. Shapes, points. Look at you. Already you are grown, my daughter. Already you are a wizard. Have I been away so long? Now you are Iranuk, and Savathun cackles and rages at your brilliance. You have written 11 axioms describing the ascended planes, our throne worlds. You have announced that you will kill one of these axioms, as Akka would kill the truth, and in mantling Akka, you will become a god, as am I. If you try it, I may kill you, or I may applaud. Well done. I brought you this bitter acid for your celebrations. And you, Irhalak, you are a wizard too, as is the way of twins. I have been with Jivurath, who complains that you have made a song and sung it in her throne world, and killed everyone who listened quite irrevocably. Will we have songs instead of swords and boomers? What have you made for me? Is it a tooth shaped like death? I will keep it in my mouth. What have you written for me? Is the course of the Nika thought ship? I will track it down. I made you by cutting one larva in half. It would not die. Each half grew into one of you. My sword is named Willbreaker, but it never broke you. Verse 4-8. The Partition of Death. One day, Oryx decided to grow new wings. While he wrestled with this worm, he came upon his twin daughters dying in a wound between places. What are you doing, my daughters? He asked. He was afraid that Irhalak and Iranuk were trying to go into the deep, where only the tablets of ruin allowed Oryx to go. We are dying, father, they said, as many times as we can manage. That's adorably precious, Oryx shook out his new wings. But why? We propose a method by which ascended souls can be detached and integrated into a tautological and autonomous thanatosphere, which we tentatively term an oversoul. Oversouls can be stored in a throne world as a mechanism of enchanted death or enhanced death resilience. As a side effect, new refinements to our death song may be achieved, moving us closer to a generally effective paracausal death impulse. Oryx brandished his sword. Speak the royal tongue, or I'll pin you up for ire to eat. If we can separate our deaths from ourselves and hide them, we will be hard to kill. Oryx went to his son Crota. Go keep an eye on your sisters, he said. You can learn cunning from them. But while Oryx traveled to observe the deep, destroying ancient fortress world, Crota conspired with his sisters to learn their secret. I too will experiment with a wound, he said. With his sword, Crota cut open a new wound into a space, and here he thought he might obtain a secret power. Out of this wound came machines called Vex. They invaded Oryx's throne world. Verse 4-9. Open your eye, go into it. The Vex clattered around, constructing large problems. At first, their constructions were deranged because they didn't understand the sword logic, which defined all rules in Oryx's throne world. The geometry perplexed them. I'll cut them apart, Crota said. But then, the Vex ritual of better thoughts manifested a mind called Coria, Blade Transform. Coria deduced the sword logic. I have to kill everything, Coria resolved. Then I will be powerful. Crota's gate began to emit warrior Vex, huge and brassy. He leapt toward to fight them, but they blinked away, and they fled from Crota. They killed 2,000 of Oryx's acolytes and 10,000 of his thrall. Soon they had established themselves as power in the world by right of slaughter. "Come forth, sister wizards," called Ir-Halak. "We need you." Iranuk pulled a sword star from out of the sky. Together the wizards charged it with killing power and made an annihilator totem, which they used to smash the Vex. "Close the wound, Brother Crota," Anuk ordered. "We will find a cunning way to destroy them, but only after they stop constructing problems on us." But Coria had instanced herself to the other side of the gates, and built a holdfast to keep the way open. Coria's objective was to exploit the paracausal physics of Oryx's throne to become divine. It organized a series of test invasions. For 100 years of local time, the siblings fought the Vex. When the Vex came into the Sword World, they were inevitably annihilated, but when the Hive went into the Vex World, they lost too much of their power to win. "Father's going to eat our souls," Halak sighed. Coria captured some worm larvae and began experimenting with them. Soon Coria, Blade Transform, manifested religious tactics. By directing a worship at the worms, Coria learned it could alter reality with mild ontopathogenic effects. Begin an effective machine. Coria manufactured a priesthood and ordered all its subminds to believe in worship. Then it set about abducting and killing dangerous organisms so it could bootstrap itself to Hive godhood. For some reason, Coria never attempted to introduce worm larvae into its mind fluid. Savathun was laughing because she had tricked Crota into cutting that place. This drew the attention of the worm god. Oryx called Ir, "Set your house in order." Verse 4:10, an emperor for all outcomes. Oryx rushed home and read from the Tablets of Ruin. He put some of the Vex into wounds to be taken by the power of the deep. Thus he turned the Vex against each other. Coria manifested a range of tactics, but none of them were as adaptive. Oryx crushed all the Vex in his throne. Oryx thought he should study geometry, like the Vex. It was the map of perfect shapes. But first he had to punish imperfection. "My son," he said, "this is your punishment. Come home glorious or die forgotten." He picked up Crota by the legs and threw him into the Vex Gate network. Crota battled through history, becoming a legendary demon. In his early centuries, he often spared a few victims to hear oaths and protests against his father. Later, he came to understand Oryx, and he made temples and monuments wherever he went. Meanwhile, Oryx brooded on the Vex. "I've met a worthy rival," he said. "They want to exist forever, just as I do, but I don't understand them." At this, his worm began to chew on him, for he was bound to understand. He called Savathun to meet in the material world. She told him that the Vex worked tirelessly to understand everything, so that they could build a victory condition for every possible end state of the universe. "Then I must be a better king," Oryx said. "If they want to build an emperor for all outcomes, then I will be the king of only one. I will follow the deep wherever it goes and document its power. Let us create a catalogue of the grave of worlds, which will be a map to our victory." Oryx knew that all life could be described as cellular automata, except for that life which understood the deep or the sky, and thus escaped causality. Out of love for her brother, which was the same as the desire to kill him, Savathun leaked a secret to Xivu Arath. "Listen, Xivu. Oryx's throne world has been compromised. You can cut your way in from here." Xivu Arath used this to plan an ambush. But Oryx was too canny. The taken king said to his court the High War, "My throne world is vulnerable. I am going to move it." "Where?" said Kagor, World Render. "Into a mighty dreadnought," said Oryx. "I shall keep my glorious mind cosmos inside a titanic warship." Verse 4:11, Dreadnought. To make his ship, Oryx scrimshawed one piece of Akka, who was dead but far from gone. He stole the hammer of Xivu-Arath and the scalpel of Savathûn, and he armored his ship in baneful armor. When Oryx had built his dreadnought, he pushed his throne world inside out so that it bled into the material space of the dreadnought. They were coterminous and allied, his ship and his sin. The dreadnought was within the throne of Oryx, but the throne of Oryx was the dreadnought, Ayat. This required a verse from the Tablet of Ruin. The whole court worked together to push Oryx's throne inside out. This was a day of joyous violence, and all of Oryx's brood marks this holiday as Aversion Day, which is celebrated by turning things inside out. Saith Oryx, "Go out into the universe, my court. Gather tribute for me. Send it home to my ship. When I call you, walk up that tribute to my court. I will prepare for long voyages. I am Savathûn, insidious. Into the war. I graffiti this notice for you. Into the deep. These books are full of lies." Now Oryx's throne was safe from incursion, because it moved so nimbly. Oryx attacked the harmonious flotilla, Invincible, who guarded the Nietzsche thought ship. When the flotilla surrounded his dreadnought, Oryx put his sword into the hull, and he used the power of the deep, and the clever systems his daughters built, to push his throne world out into mere reality. By wrath and confidence, he filled space with an egg of his throne. It swelled up. Swelled up like a ghost star to smash the harmonious flotilla Invincible. Oryx broke the last word off their name. In the Nietzsche thought ship, Oryx hoped to find the location of the Gift Mast, which had been left behind by the Traveler. Oryx wanted to eat it. But the thought ship was a trap. Upon it was Coria, blade transform. Verse 5. Interdict, simulate, worship. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to salt my meat with your briny little thoughts. I'm going to cook flesh on your broken, molten hull. Insinuate, subvert, replicate. This ship is my throne. You want to take it from me. You want to fill it up with your own spawn and use it for your abstract purposes. But I defy you. Observe, imitate, usurp. You will never be what I am. Simulate me, wretch. Calculate the permutations of my divinity. Computate the death in the shape of my throne. Render my shadows on the stone of 10,000 graveyard worlds. It will never be enough. I hold the tablets of ruin. I speak to the deep. Not with a galaxy of thinking matter could you encompass me. Behold. Unknown, enigma, shortfall. Abort, halt, abort. Verse 5:1. End of failed timeline. By now, Coria knows it can't win. There's something pathologic about the world inside Oryx's ship. It resists analysis with a hot, dead spite. And Oryx himself, he's irreducible. He refuses to obey Curia's simulations. He crashes around, sowing chaos. He grabs subminds and compromises them with some kind of ontological weapon. Paracausal systems. Very problematic. Coria's trying the religious tactics it evolved in the Hive Manifold, but even on those terms, Oryx is strong, so strong. Coria won't be able to protect its gates much longer. The closest Coria's got to a simulation of Oryx is a best guess bootstrap. It's wrong. Coria's quite sure of that. It's Oryx minus the symbiote organism, minus the wings and the morphs, minus the weapon, minus the power. No good for anything. Coria manifests that simulation anyway, just to see what happens. The Taken King marches on Coria's Hydra hull, armed with blade and magic, cloaked in ancient cloth, and the universe wails in horror around him. Coria's physics models and toy worlds choke and crash. Coria observes, alert and attentive, as a single quark splits on the top of Oryx's sword. From within the Hydra hull, Coria's tiny not Oryx speaks. "What are you?" it says. It's manifesting terror and awe. Oryx's eyes blaze with a curiosity that it's entirely isomorphic with hate, with voracious hunger. Aurash, he says in his hive language, "You've made me as I was. You've made a tiny Aurash." Ha! Korea updates the simulation name. Aurash is curious. "You're me? You're me as I become?" Oryx kneels. His blade is on his left shoulder. Korea's firing every available weapon at him, but his wards don't break. He looks into Korea's sensors through his hammering fire, and he says, "Child, I have everything you wanted. I am immortal. I know the great secrets of the universe. I have scouted the edges of the darkness, and I have chased the lying gods down galactic arms in a howling pack of moons. In my fist I carry the secret power that will rule eternity. In my worm I bear the tribute of my court, and of my children, the Hope Eater, the Weaver, and the Unraveler. And with this tribute I smash my foes. I am Oryx, the Taken King. I am almighty." Korea samples the Teox intelligence retrieved from the Ecumene Gates. There are useful names. It feeds them to the simulation. "What about your sisters?" Aurash asks his future self. "Sithona? Zero? Are they with you?" The Taken King's fangs glint. That sound might be a laugh or a hiss. Korea shuts down its weapons and puts all of its spare resources into sending telemetry to the Greater Vex. There will be points in space and time where this data is vital. There will be great projects undertaken in the study of this ontological power, this throne space. "Where are my sisters?" Aurash shouts. "What have you done with my people? What have you done?" But Oryx's fist is full of black fire, and the next thing Korea sees is a light like stars. What? Verse 5-2. Strict proof eternal. "I have a gift for you," says Oryx. Savathun, Witch Queen, looks at him with dry wariness. "Is it the sword logic I need to go into the deep and take your power for myself?" Their echoes move among the war moons, walking together on the hull of a 2,000-year-old warship. Savathun's fleet has assembled here, in preparation for an assault on the Gift Mast. The deep is headed that way on the trail of its prey, and the hive will be its vanguard. "It's a Vex I captured. Korea, blade transform. It's made an attempt to puncture my throne. I thought you might enjoy studying it," Oryx pauses. Digesting through the bond of lineage, he can feel Crota killing, worlds and worlds away, and it tastes like sweet fat. "Korea contains a Vex attempt to simulate me. It might generate others. You, perhaps, or Jivurath. I've left some will of its own, so it can surprise you." "I suppose it'll blow up and kill me," Savathun grouses. "Or let the machines into my throne, or they'll start turning everything to clocks and glass." "If it kills you, then you deserve to die," Oryx says with a quiet thrill. A happy thrill, because it is good to say the truth. "I don't have strict proof yet, you know." Savathun strokes the void with one long claw, and space-time groans beneath her touch. "The thing we believe, that we're liberating this universe by devouring it, that we're cutting out the rot, that we're on course to join the final shape. I haven't found a strict eternal proof. We might yet be wrong." Oryx looks at her for a moment, just a moment. He is nostalgic and sentimental. He thinks, imagine the years behind us. The things we've done, and yet being old doesn't feel like a scar, does it? It hasn't left me dull. I feel alive with you, and every time I step back into this world from my throne, I feel like I'm 2 years old again, at the bottom of the universe looking up. But he says, "Sister, it's us. With the proof. We're the proof. We the hive. If we last forever, we prove it. And if something more ruthless conquers us, then the proof is sealed." She looks back at him with eyes like hot needles. "I like that," she says. "That's elegant." Although, of course, she had thought of that before. Verse 5-3. I'd shut them all in cells. Pray and sacrifice, uttered by Givorrath, god of war. Harmony. When the traveler passed across Harmony, it lied into the orbits of 10 worlds. Now they orbit the black hole. The traveler lied to the accretion disk, so that it would give them warm lights to these worlds. The Gift Mast. When the traveler left Harmony, it made a monument out of the black hole's polar jet. In the jet there's a hollow mast which sings in radiance. This is a gift mast, and we will devour it. We will eat the sky out of it, and we will snap it like a bone. The Harmony String. The Harmony have weaponized their dead star, and can simulate the accretion disk to fire relativistic plasma jets. We will take the sting. We will use it to burn their worlds. I will grant 1 temple of tribute to the first ascendant to kill a world. Oryx. I will have the Gift Mast to feast on. I will have it first. I am Givorrath, and all war is my temple. But beware the daughters of Oryx, for they make and unmake with ease. Savathun. The deceitful sister will be distracted by Arcana and the song of the black hole. Treat her broods with contempt. The Traveler. We chase it, and we will devour it. The deep will rule the cosmos. The Dragons. Our gods should be ours alone. Their smug freedom is an insult to me. I'd shut them all in cells. Bring them to me. Verse 5-4. The Gift Mast. The Gift Mast. It towers above the star system like a monument to treason. It beams with silver light. It sings a radio lullaby made of soothing lies. In its light lives the Harmony, and they are now our prey. Now arrives Givorrath at the head of her armada. She fights the Harmony for 50 years with strategies and discipline, but the Harmony turn to dragon wishes, and their wishful bishops wrestle Xivu in the ascendant plane. Xivu falls into deadlock. Next arrives Savathun, flanked by her chorus and her celebrants. They trick their way onto the Harmony in disguises so they might vivisect these dragons. The worm, our god, laughs and laughs. For 100 years, Savathun keeps secret covens among the Harmony. But first of all was Oryx, whose brood grew in secret places in the rubble of the accretion disk. The first navigator sends rocks and comets to crash into the Harmony worlds, so that the Harmony fleet will be disarrayed. He sends seeders to infiltrate the Harmony worlds with his broods. Here at the center of the 5th book, the Hive have grown so mighty that it has made the annihilation of all false life routine. Givorrath kills these wishful bishops, and Savathun achieves some secret purpose, and Oryx's court tears down the Gift Mast. The Harmony people wail in terror, and they throw themselves into silver lakes of the Harmony to drown. Come, saith Oryx, eat of the Gift Mast, for I am a generous god. Of its pieces I claim only 2 out of every 5. The mast is full of light in the traveler. It is full of the marrow taste of sky. All who eat it are filled with the ecstatic certainty that they serve a great and necessary purpose. Then saith Savathun, Siblings, listen. We must part ways a while so that we may grow different. She flies her war moons into the black hole. Her throne becomes distant. Saith Givorrath, King Oryx, you take up too much space. Your power constrains too many choices. I must go away from you. She flies her war moons away into the night. Her throne is barred shut. Then Oryx was alone. He spent a while in thought, and those thoughts are recorded here. Verse 5-5. Apocalypse refrains. This is our message to the things that we kill. A species which believes that a good existence can be invented through games of civilization and through laws of conduct is doomed by that belief. They will die in terror. The lawless and ruthless will drag them down to die. The universe will erase their monuments. But the one that sets out to understand the one true law and to perform worship of that law will by that decision gain control over their future. They will gain hope of ascendance, and by their ruthlessness they will assist the universe in arriving in its perfect shape. Only by eradicating from ourselves all clemency from the weak can we emulate and become that which endures forever. This is inevitable. The universe offers only one choice, and it is between ruthlessness and extinction. We stand against the fatal lie that a world is built on laws of conduct that may ever resist the action of the truly free. This is the slavery of the traveler, the crime of creation, in which labor is wasted on the construction of false shapes. If you choose to fight us with everything you have, with all your laws and games. We will prove our argument thus. Verse 5-6. Ayat. All is well, Ayat. What is at war is healthy, what is at peace is sick. My son Crota feeds me rich tributes. My lineages are strong, my worm is fast and satiated. With that security I can spend my time on study and communion with the deep. As I learn more secrets, my power grows. As my power grows, I use it to learn more secrets. Ayat, let it be thus, because it must. I wonder if my sisters have secrets of their own. If my power exceeds theirs, I may kill them permanently and subsume their thrones. But I think they have strength that they hide from me, developed in time of separation. Ayat, the only meaningful relationship is the attempt to destroy. Savathun asks if I am as much a slave of the deep as my taken. She asks what price I pay for my power. I am not taken. The hive is not the deep. The deep doesn't want everything to be the same. It wants life, strong life. Life that lives free without a need for a habitat of games to insulate it from reality. When I make my taken, I make them closer to perfect. I heal their wounds and enhance their strengths. This is inherently good. Ayat, the only right is existence. The only wrong is non-existence. I am Oryx, the first navigator, the taken king. Ayat, let me be what I am, because to be anything else would be fatal. The cat's bugging you? Oh no, my cat's been bugging me. She's laying down now.
Yeah, if she doesn't get what she wants, she starts scratching at my shoulder.
Oh no!
I'm trying to annoy her enough that she leaves.
Speaking of, while we're taking a quick break, Vector has redeemed a treat for my cat. So let's grab that real quick. There you go. She's so tired. I think she just woke up from a nap.
It's hard life being a kitty cat.
Oh, it's a very hard life, I know. Gonna give both cats a treat?
Here comes the other cat.
Yeah. Do you have any treats on hand that you can give your cats?
I do not.
Hmm.
One does not need them. She is fat.
That's fair. There you go. Yeah, you found it. Oh, we are surprisingly almost there.
At the end?
Near about. We've got only a couple more words. Only a couple more pages, yeah.
Cool.
Verse 5-7. Forever and a blade. I considered returning to Fundament, learning what became of the God Wave and the tungsten monoliths, and the continents which were all that remained of my people's primal home. But I know what became of all that. It became me. I am their heir of Fundament, the immortal descendant of those 10-year krill. I ask a question: how can we live in the universe long enough to understand it? And I learned the answer, which is written here in this book. I learned that I had to become most ruthless of all. I don't know where the darkness, which is the deep, came from, nor the traveler that I hunt, but I will learn. I will learn. This is my inheritance, my estate. Eternity, infinity, the whole universe beneath my sword. This is what I rule, forever and a blade. Verse 5-8, Worm Food. What will happen when I die? Or what will happen if I die? It suits me to consider this, for I'm a great ally of death. My daughters study the quidditry of death, my son practices the inhibition of death, and my great work is, in Ultima, to become synonymous with death, to die and in that dying live, so that if the universe comes to nothing, then I will be a part of that nothing. Far better to have a savage universe with a happy end than a happy universe with no hope. I have died many times, but these deaths were only temporary. If my echoes are killed, and I am killed in the material world, then I will be driven back to my throne, the Dreadnought. If my court and my throne can be beaten, if I am confronted in my throne, if I am defeated there, then I will die. My work will end. This is the pact to which I am bound, in particular by my study of the Tablets of Ruin, and by my use of the powers of the deep. When I call upon that power, I put myself up as the stakes in a wager. I gamble with my soul, for I am saying, listen, my gods, I am the mightiest thing there is, and I prove it thus. Lately I've realized how much I depend on Crota and my daughters, and even upon my court. If I lost them, my outlays would exceed my intakes, and my tributes would not be enough to feed my worm. But this is proper, for if I lost them, it would be because they were not mighty enough, and then I would be a bad father, a bad king. I must test them and fight with them, to keep them strong. This is my Gaius. I will go on forever. I will understand everything. There is only one path, and that is the path you make. But you can make more than one path. Break your cell's bars. Make a new shape. Make the shape from its path. Find your cell's bars. Break out of the bars. Find a shape. Make the shape from its path. Eat the light. Eat the path. If I fail, let me be worm food. Verse 5-9. I'll make sure. I've made preparations. If I am defeated, know that it will be because my understandings of the universe was incomplete. I failed to anticipate some strategy, some nemesis, perhaps Teox if she still lives. If I am defeated, know that I will fall to something mighty, something that craves might, something that loves what I love, which is the deep, a principle and a power, the versatile protean need to adapt and endure, to reach out and shape the universe entirely for that purpose, to mutate and redesign and test and iterate so that it can prevail, can seize existence and hold it, certain that this is everything, that there is nothing to life except living, and it has two faces, yet it is one shape. One face is the objective, which is obvious, and the other face is that will to sacrifice things and ideas for a single mission. The mission of becoming the shape, a shape that will not relent, the utter commitment to survival, to draw the right sword and choose where to cut, to allow this hunger to become your weapon. So I will prepare a book, which is a map to a weapon, and my vanquisher will read that book, seeking the weapon, and they will come to understand me, where I have been and where I was going, and then they will take up my weapon, and they will use it. They will use that weapon, which is all that I am. And armed thus with my past, and my future, and my present, which is a weapon that takes whatever is available, a weapon bound to no malice, they will mantle me Oryx the Taken King. They will become me, and I will become them, each of us defeating each other, correcting the other, alloying ourselves into one omnipotent philosophy. Thus I will live forever. I'll make sure. And that is the end.
Yay! I contributed almost nothing.
You're okay. Oh, it's a pleasure to read.
It's a very interesting book.
So
I don't think I understood what happened half the time.
That's fine. But yeah, it was. So, but yeah, basically there's a enemy type in Destiny called the Hive. They are like insectoid-like creatures. Let me see if I can actually get a picture that I can send you of. There's good pictures of Savathun. As the next Destiny expansion is all about her. So they finally given what she actually looks like. That's a good picture.
Kitty cat, no.
Kitty cat, no.
She's trying to get in my lap.
Oh.
She's halfway succeeded.
Alright, I'm gonna exit full screen.
I was drawing on the flipped canvas this entire time.
Oh, yeah.
Just noticed that.
It's that picture. I just saved it.
Mimi, stop.
Save it to the desktop. That's fine. There we go.
Since I'm not sure where the phone is, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. So, I sent you in the actual chat. That is a picture of Savathun.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Mimi. Oh. Ah, she drooled everywhere.
Aw, sweetheart.
Interesting. 3 eyes.
The sort of crown on her head. Yeah, the Hive are extremely cool. So, I assume you have all those pictures on different layers or something? Can we go back through them? No, you just erased them as they went on?
Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Because some of them was like, this is not even talking vaguely. Like, the only one I think I decided I was keeping was this one, but that was because I just ended up making it into my MV. It was like, I like this face, and then I kept it as...
That's fair.
I was going to be the Eater of Hope. He looks smug.
That's fair, yeah.
Other than that, I kind of like drew him, and then sometimes I would only get past, I would get like the face and be like, eh.
That's fair.
I'm not committed enough to this anymore.
Well, yeah. I think that pretty much concludes everything. Right about at the 2-hour mark, too. So that works for us. Thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
There are plenty more stories if you'd like to go through more.
Some other time, yeah.
Some other time, for sure, for sure. The other one, because what I was reading out of was, and I'll show it to the cat cam, it's this Destiny Grimoire anthology. So basically, all of those different chapters were lore collectibles that you could find in the game. And then basically they just took all of them, organized them, put them in order, and then put them into a book and actually sold physical copies of it.
Oh, okay.
So there's another story in here that is the story of The Last Word and Thorn, which is a very cowboy-y corruption from the Hive. Its official title is The Burden of Light.
Okay.
Which is of a guardian, which is the protagonists and the good guys, quote unquote, in Destiny. A guardian being corrupted by the Hive, becoming evil and killing other guardians. So it's pretty neat, and we could do that some other time if you'd like.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be it for now. Go ahead and start wrapping up the stream. But yes, would you like to give a shout out to through the stream while we're still here? It's like
sure.
Self-promotion, whatever.
I do drawing. I'm at Azuriiite _SELAS. And I do drawings every so often. And you can catch me on Twitter under Azuriiite with 3 eyes.
Very nice.
I talk about that stuff.
And your Twitch is twitch.tv/Arkiger, ARKIGER, is that correct?
I recently changed it. It is Azuriiite, just like the normal word, _SELAS.
Okay, cool.
So, Azuriiite Selas.
Fantastic. All right, well, absolutely go give Azuriiite a follow and some views. I know you are very close to affiliate yourself.
Yes, hopefully. I need to double check. I think the one thing that had been messing me up was the number of viewers.
That's fair. And that's what I hope to give you here, is more viewers. So.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
You're very welcome. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
So that is that. That is the story of the Taken King and the beginnings of the Hive and the Hive Gods. And you know it thus. Thank you all so very much for joining me. This has been an absolute pleasure. Do you have a shout-out thing on Nightbot? I do. Let's see if I can do it right. Azuriiite _Selas. I think that's right. And that's still not working perfectly correctly, but... Just one eye? Okay. We'll redo it that then. Whoops. Space might be nice. I know how to do shoutouts, it's fine. There it is. Alright, well, like I said, this has been wonderful. Thank you all so very much for joining me. Hopefully we can get into some other stories from the Destiny universe, all of which are fantastic, and I love all of the stories from Destiny. But yeah. If you like what you saw, you're not quite followed yet, drop a follow. It's completely free, you can get some bonus channel points. And you can be notified when I go live. Right now is a little bit of a special week. From now through January 2nd, which is just a couple more days, I'll be streaming every day, noon to 5. But once we go back to that, we'll be going back to my actual schedule, which can be found still on my Twitch page. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's at DrexnerPlays, DrexnorPlays, with no underscore. I follow a bunch of smaller streamers, like Azuriites, and indie devs. And I retweet out their stuff every now and again, so if you'd like to see what I'm looking into, that is the place to do it. Really? Now? After all this time? Do that? Yeah, right? The nerve. Stick around for a raid, get some extra points on your way out. Let's go say who we can say hi to. Let's see, who is online? Yeah, let's do this. Fire gems. correctly. J-E-M-Z. Fantastic. Alright, fantastic. So, next stream will be tomorrow, noon, Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back with some Epic Battle Fantasy V, a very fun RPG that I've been playing. Hope to see you there. And let's get Azuriiite to Twitch affiliate, shall we? And until tomorrow, drink some good drinks, eat some good food, and have a good night.